The official Nintendo Switch dock is a bulky, expensive, cheaply made product for what it is. When it was first announced, I thought $90 was a steal, but as I learned more about it, there's just nothing of value here. Video isn't really being upscaled by the dock, it's only being converted to HDMI. The only value here is that it's the only game in town. But now, there are alternatives slowly coming out. Here's a detailed look at some of your options and why they are so limited. The Switch has a single USB Type-C port that does all the important outputting. In theory, you should be able to just plug in any old USB Type-C hub and it should be able to do whatever the hell you want. You can plug in most USB keyboards using most USB-C converters, no problem. Hey, you know that USB 3.0 port that's in the Switch dock? Well, it's listed as a 2.0 port on the official Nintendo specs page. That's because it is a 2.0 port. The Switch doesn't support 3.0 right now. One day, it will support 3.0 with an update. In theory, the same would apply for any dock or hub that you plug into the Switch. It just doesn't support 3.0 right now. Hey, this thing is getting worse and worse by the minute. The important thing here is HDMI. What good is a Switch dock if it's not going to output HDMI to your TV? Unfortunately, these USB-C hubs with HDMI that are already out there on the market cannot output an HDMI signal from the Switch. According to Pluggable.com, Nintendo has elected to use a video output implementation on the console itself that doesn't work with any device currently on the market other than their dock, but has strategically made only limited quantities of additional docks available for purchase. Nintendo is using an uncommon sub-specification of DisplayPort called MyDP. Additionally, from flowcharts included in their patent filings, it would appear that the Switch communicates with the dock to validate it is present before switching from the built-in display to the MyDP output. Basically, the HDMI output is needlessly proprietary. You need a dock or hub that supports this barely used MyDP protocol. And I just spent way too long trying to figure this out, but just because you find a device that does use the MyDP or SlimPort or MHL protocol doesn't mean that it'll work for the Switch. So at the time of launch, you're tied to the official Nintendo dock. Now that it's been a few months, we're starting to see some more options roll out. The simplest being these cheap enclosures. Simply take the tiny little guts out of the giant dock that came with your Switch and place it into one of these enclosures. I got this one on Amazon for $20. Yeah, don't do this if you want your Switch dock back. It definitely solves the portability problem. This is much easier to just throw in your bag. Since this is just your Nintendo Switch dock in a smaller case, everything works just as it should. But what if you want an additional dock so you don't have to keep unplugging it from your TV? Another one of these official Nintendo ones would be $90. Is that worth it just to gut and put in one of these $20 enclosures? No, I can't recommend that. Companies have started to manufacture good portable dock alternatives. S-Fans has an adapter that's only $60 on Indiegogo right now. They say estimated delivery will be August, but I don't buy that for a second. Donate to these kind of things at your own risk. They could at any point take all of your money and give you nothing. If you decide to wait this one out, it will be available at retail for $90, which is not a deal. $60 is decent, but not for the quality of hardware. The plastic feels solid, but the teardowns that other YouTubers have done revealed that these are just cheap Chinese chipsets that were repackaged to be sold as Switch accessories. What those other YouTubers don't say is how they got that MyDP protocol in there. I don't think that was originally on the cheap Chinese chipsets to begin with. This particular chipset was originally intended to be used with the Samsung Galaxy S8, which uses DisplayPort version 1.2, which is somehow different than MyDP. If you'd like to try to do some detective work yourself, I'll leave the SlimPort wiki in the description. And I just noticed those are 3.0 ports, but again, this Switch doesn't support 3.0 yet. So if Nintendo isn't listing their port as a 3.0 port, can S-Fans list it as a 3.0 port? I guess it's technically 3.0. It's just the Switch won't pick up 3.0 yet. So what you're paying for here is the MyDP protocol, which is fine, I guess, because there's no other options out there. It's not like the official Nintendo one is setting a high standard for quality anyway. So for convenience sake, I'm going to give this adapter a thumbs up, but only if you can get it for $60 and only if you're willing to risk funding an Indiegogo campaign. Oh, and do not get upsold to the package with the stand. This thing is the shittest stand I have ever seen. It makes this portable dock almost the same size as the official Nintendo one, so it defeats the whole purpose. Just whatever you do, while you have your Switch laying flat, keep the vents in the back clear. Place the Switch on top of a book and hang it over the edge or something like that. Or just get a better stand. This one's not worth the $10 upgrade. There is another manufacturer that is making an adapter that looks very similar. The SwitchCon Kickstarter is $10 more and uses the same exact chipset that the S-Fans adapter uses. In fact, they didn't even take the chipset out of the original Chinese casing for this one. They just swapped out the logo. It might sound scummy that these chipsets are marked up, but hey, it's your only option. Unless you can get your hands on the original C4 CF001 adapter for the Samsung Galaxy S8 that's selling in China for $30, that would be much easier said than done. But even then, I wouldn't guarantee that it has the MyDP protocol, so there's no use in complaining about this markup. It's saving you a bit of hassle. And let's not forget that the only Nintendo solution is $90. So this markup is really Nintendo's fault. Even if that cheap $30 chipset has MyDP in it, then Nintendo is just as scummy for selling us this garbage for $90. The final and most realistic solution is just to wait for this Nyko dock to come out. It's only going to cost $45, and Nyko is a reputable third-party brand. The downsides are that it has no USB ports, and it's not going to come out until October. But realistically, crowdfunded campaigns always get super delayed. So your portable dock options are limited. For now, I'm just gonna use this S-Fans adapter, but if they didn't send it to me, then I would have just put the guts of the official dock into this enclosure and just unplugged it every time I wanted to take it with me. It's portable enough for most people's needs, but I would understand if you wanted to have a second dock. This is a significant upgrade, regardless of what's in here, because again, there is garbage in there too. Also, for what it's worth, whenever I travel, I've just been charging my Switch with my MacBook charger because it has a chip in it that detects the voltage required for output that, in theory, should provide the perfect charge for the Switch's battery. So I leave my Switch charger all hooked up in my desk setup. It just makes traveling a tad bit easier. It turns out, the official dock, or I should say the official dock chipset, only works with the official Nintendo charger. So if I just want to bring my MacBook charger, I'm gonna need a different dock. These are all things to keep in mind. Can't even get the thing to work in this room. So what do you guys think about what Nintendo did to proprietize their docks and this weird underground world of cheap dock markups? Leave it in the comments below. Add me on Twitter, all this other social media garbage. Maybe together we can figure out exactly what's going on inside of these things. I spent a long time going through Amazon trying to find one that would work. I thought maybe other Galaxy S8 docks would work with the Switch, but that's apparently not the case. Remember, there are new videos every single Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Wednesday nights is Wulff Den Live. Join us for the live podcast every single Wednesday. Right now, while this is going up, I will be in Vegas with family. So we're gonna do Wulff Den Live from Vegas. As always, the most important things you can do is subscribe and share this video with a friend who can maybe get to the bottom of this. Right here is a video on things you could do or things that you can get to make the most out of your Switch. And right here is my last video on how Mario Odyssey throws back to older games. And thank you guys very much. Have yourselves a very good week.